What's up, everybody? Welcome to the WCB podcast. I think it's episode 663. You're catching so far one of two episodes recorded via the dark web, but you got to make a couple exceptions. The first one this year was with T-Bone. Of course, got to make an exception for T-Bone. And my boy Arron Bleise gets the second exception. So you should feel really cool, Arron.
Dude, I feel like amazingly cool. I didn't know I was number 2 and after T-Bone. I mean, that's high praise right there, man.
Yeah, and they'll be the only two. The only two guests online will be these. That's my goal. Hunting season might change some stuff, once we get into October. But yeah, man, we've been trying to do them all in person, which it's tough. Both of our schedules are busy. So it was like, yo, we need to chat and catch up. And here we are. So thanks, dude.
Yeah, no problem. I'll do you one good here. Like, there's a good, you don't even know this, but there's a good chance DJ and I are going to be in your neck of the woods this fall. So maybe we can stop in for a night and do a podcast in person. And
yeah,
DJ's never seen your studio. I've been there, but just to, get in there, see the new side too. I haven't seen the new part, and maybe we can do that this fall.
Yeah. A lot of people, what's great about where the studio is a lot of guys that are going from, if they're on the eastern states, east of Illinois, and they're going anywhere west, depending on where they're at, north and south, they probably drive like 10 minutes from where our studio is.
Right.
And they just don't know it, off Highway 74 going through Illinois, connecting into 80. And but we're a great like center stop. So like the Boo Shacks are from PA. When they go to Colorado, we're like a great stopping point for a hotel. So I'm like, swing in, so
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, for our people, like that invite's always open, especially with the addition. We have like a camp bunk room and all that, whatever. So yeah, dude, anytime, that'd be awesome. Get one during season, and it'd be ultra relative, like to the time. So
it will be. And honestly, I hope we've got a couple deer down. We're not real close to you, but we're in proximity within a couple hours, I'll say. So like you said, we'll be passing by. So it might be one of those things we just do a little quick detour and cut it up and keep moving.
Yeah, no, that's the way to do it, man. That's what's fun. That's what's fun about having this space versus like when it was just in a bedroom or, whatever. It's like we have the spot for people to stay. We have the entertainment space. So we built it beyond just this one. It looks like I'm in a black room right now, and it's more than that, but
yeah,
we're very proud of it. So I'm stoked for you to see it, dude. It's
cool, man.
I think you're going to be impressed when you see the other side. We dumped a lot of energy and money, and hopefully it pays off.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to see it and see all the guys too. I mean, we hung out at ATA and, and didn't drink any beer, nothing like that.
No,
at
no,
ATA.
no
We
beer.
were all water and, energy drinks.
Yeah. A lot of meetings, a lot of strategy talk, a lot of collared shirts.
Yeah. Button ups. What do you got there? What are we drinking?
Dude, this is a morning show, right? This is the WCB morning show with the fall. And I'm not drinking beer, okay? For the record.
That's the first time I've ever seen you with a coffee cup.
So I figured, all right, I got to be honest. I thought it would make me look distinguished. Like, yeah, thanks for coming on the show. I should have sent you a mug, like, like I'm Conan O'Brien or something.
Yeah.
And, so with our new addition, what was our kitchen in the main studio became a hallway to the other side. So it became like a walkthrough. Whereas before it was kind of like our mud room / laundry room / kitchen. So what I did with the bedroom and the connecting room, like we have a pocket barnwood slider there now. I made like an Airbnb coffee bar to kind of like fill the empty space. And it's like a nice thing for guests. And it's really rad, actually. So I figured since we were doing an early podcast, I'd get out my Stickbo Supply mug and have a coffee on air. And it makes you look kind of like, ignore the tattoos. It makes me look kind of like I'm professional and I care,
I don't know if it balances the tattoos and the gauges out, but I can't see your gauges because obviously the headphones. But it's I like it. It kind of tames you down a little bit, Kurt. There's your picture for
LinkedIn.
You're looking above the camera.
Yeah, looking through everyone's soul. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I was wondering where you did the connector. So you were in the back mudroom is where you did the connector for the other part.
Yeah, we brainstormed it like right outside the studio. There's like where the old bedroom was is now becoming like a production office. So, uh, little sneak peek to what like we're gonna do. And this, I don't know what the time frame on this will be. Maybe this fall, but the goal is like full blown live stream capabilities and all that. And Jordan um, will be in there doing basically producing from another room while watching us and listening. And like he'll be our Jamie from another room is the idea. But and then
Nice.
some. And then this can stay. This is my office. Like people can't see this table's a mess full of papers. And every time we record, I got to clean it all up, and which is fine. But it'd be nice to like leave my projects out and a desk in that room. But we are going to make the connecting room between that office and this room. But the wall would have been like in the middle of the main wall over there. So we did it on the end, and then we sheeted the whole wall with plywood, and then that way we can put screws wherever. And we finished over the plywood, but so we're trying to think ahead on it. But yeah,
I like it, man. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet. Dude, so what's going on, man? There's we're in mid-August roughly. We're before that recording right now, but
Yeah.
it's August when this launches. We're acting like it's August because everyone now after the 4th of July is getting jacked up for deer season. I think July 4th, from my opinion, is like the turning point. I don't know how you view it.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know, it's something internally in me, like, from January 1 till, like, July 1, I'm, like, burnt out. Like, I am like, I don't want it's not that I don't wanna think about deer, but I just kinda I'm like, I do a lot of, like, postseason scouting and stuff in the spring before green up and snow and everything, just go back checking spots and trying to get new farms. And this year I gained permission on a couple new farms. So that was cool. And like sometimes I feel like I'm a zombie doing that because I'm just like, but with us having a lot of snow usually in the winter, getting out when there's no snow is nice. But I'll tell you, like after that late season or that postseason scouting is done until July, I'm like, I told you the other day as a podcast, like I'd like to shut the podcast off from that time. Like those like 4 months, like let's just shut her down. And then because
In
we
the
see it
season, start a new season. Yeah.
exactly. Like nobody is downloading the stuff. Like, I mean, there are, but it's
You
just
got
like
your baseline regulars for sure. And then after the 4th, they're like, hey, everybody's back. Come on in.
exactly,
Yeah.
and it's hard for me to believe like because you can already start seeing an uptick on downloads and everything like that. And it's hard for me to believe that many people shut it off for those 4 months. And then once July comes around, they're like, yep, let's let her rip. And then your downloads like double. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But you know
so
what I think it is, man? Like, one, it's a lot of people are busy with like work and family, and it's like they took all their time off and exhausted everybody around them
mhm,
in the fall. And then some of the guys, like, that's their time. It's family vacation time. It's, all that type of thing. And then 4th of July hits, you have your summer party, family, and then everyone's family and everything's like, oh, yeah, we spent time together the 4th. And then you can be like, all right, one, Velvet's antlers are looking sizable now,
mhm,
after the 4th, especially coming into August, right? Like you're seeing what the deer are going to be right now.
yeah,
So I think that's what a lot of it is. One, I think it's the antlers, man. It gets people sucked
mhm,
back in. And then the pressure of like, well, you better start getting your archery equipment set up now. You better be
yeah,
it's August. You better be ready to go now.
I know it. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like antlers, like man, I've got a buck that I haven't said anything about him yet, but like he's going to be impressive. Like he's
Really, is this
already
an exclusive
impressive.
drop right now?
What's that?
Is this an exclusive drop right now?
It is. It's an exclusive drop, and
So you're
uh,
telling me he's a Michigan book buck?
dude, okay, we're recording this July 11th. He was over a Michigan book buck a couple weeks ago. Like,
Wow.
I don't talk in book bucks, Kurt.
I know, dude. Ever since you told me Michigan book buck was 105, I fucking ride to die on that all the
Yeah.
time, dude. I don't know if you've heard me
Oh
reference
yeah.
you on that like 100 times since last time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought it was 120, just like book buck is 125, and in my
Dude,
opinion.
for the longest time, me being a Michigan resident, like like a record book buck, in any state doesn't really like. I'll probably never, unless I kill like a world class deer that could be like, you know, a Jersey worthy deer as we call it. Like
Yeah, we'll get into
it's
that later.
it's a 200-inch deer. Maybe I'll like if it's something that could like be top 5 in the world or something. Yeah, maybe, but like I've killed some pretty good deer in different areas, and I've just never had a desire to, you know, just get one actually like recorded into the book, I guess. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
why. It just doesn't.
I
I
get
don't
it.
know.
I'll tell you, my friend Bucky, we did an episode with him. He's a real big advocate, and he's involved with Pope and Young and Boone and Crockett, and he'll sell you on it for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm the same way. I think I have I don't know, 5 or 6 bucks entered in the book. I entered like my dad's last buck in the book and stuff like that. I think it's neat, but I get it though. I get both sides of it. I should enter all of them. I thought about it, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as the measuring goes, like I'm not gonna say I've never put a tape to my deer, but I let other people measure my deer, and that's what I like all my like sizable deer. I've never put a tape. The biggest deer I ever killed, the Great Ambino, I've never put a tape to that deer. I had a scorer put a tape to that deer and just gross scored it.
Yeah.
But like I, there's times where I'll just throw a tape on them and I feel like I can get pretty close, but usually I'll let someone else do it because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I scored this. And my taxidermist, he does a lot of it too. Like he's pretty good at it. And he's like, yeah, when I drop it off, he'll do it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like sweet.
Yeah.
I do want to know. Generally, I want to know because for conversation, it's like, oh, how big was he? And it's like, it just gives you a good,
Yeah. It classes them out. And
yeah.
like I'll do, we've been doing the bowhunting league thing. I think we're gonna do it again, but like I'll measure them for that. But
Mhm.
it's gross and it's gross green, and then I'm good with it.
Yep.
Like I don't care. I could have a buck that shrank 3 inches over the last 10 years. I don't know if he shrinks that much. If a deer, I don't care. It's what it was when I greened it in the back of the truck,
Yeah.
and then I'm good with it. Like, oh, he's 180 class, and even then, sometimes I forget the measurement exactly. Like, he's high 60s.
I know.
Like 168, 169.
Yep.
Something like that. But whatever. But okay, so you're like licking your lips on a Michigan book buck right now.
Yeah, he'll probably tape out right at 106, 107,
Yeah,
maybe.
nice.
Gross green,
Gross
tailgate
green,
score.
flex tape, back of the truck.
Yeah. I'm not
Nice.
gonna say he's the biggest deer I've had to chase, or gonna get to chase in Michigan. Man, I in 2019 I had a really impressive deer to chase, and I drew Iowa that year, so I only got to hunt him like 5 sits and had him on camera a lot, but I never encountered him. Then he ended up getting killed by the neighbors. But yeah, this deer right now, as we sit here in July, I know we talked this is going to drop in August, but as we sit here in July, like I know the deer from last year. He actually moved in later in the year after I killed my buck. He kind of moved in,
Mhm.
and he was a deer last year that I was like, man, he. You look at him and you're like, dang, like I could, like he make you think.
Yeah,
Last year
yeah,
he was probably, and he was definitely Michigan book buck, but
yeah, yeah.
and he was really religious on a scrape. I mean, I I had another buck tag in my pocket and I'm like, I don't want to shoot him. Like in December, I could have killed him twice.
Mhm.
And decided not to. I'm like, he's made it through, 3/4 of our gun season. And it's like hopefully he makes it through. And he did, man, and he blew up this year so far. And
Cool.
he's got a weak right side. And actually, matter of fact, I was glassing the other day and I pulled up and got the spotter out. And this is at 4:54 in the afternoon, right after a hard rain. We got a hard rain, and I'm like, I love that time. Like, if it
Yeah.
rains, I'm gonna go glass. And he comes out in the field, and he's got like right on his left shoulder, like right in the front shoulder, he's got, I'll send you the video. He's got like it looks like, coming from their summer hair to like their fall hair.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like that, man, but honestly, it's big and it looks like a big like scar to me. So I don't
Oh,
know, when I got pictures of him last year, I never like he never showed that. If it's the same deer, I'm almost positive it is, but I'm not 100%. He never showed that. So I'm like, but it would make sense because his right side is really weak and his injuries on his left.
maybe got
So I don't know.
smoked by a car and just made it through it. And
He could. He doesn't limp. I've got a lot of spot and scope footage of him right now, and he's a loner. Last year, if it is the same deer, he was running. So I named him Cal, and the other his running mate's Ricky. So from Cal and Ricky from Talladega Nights.
yeah,
Um, so like they were running mates last year, and they were really identical, and I had to like decipher what was gonna keep. They were just always together. Now he is running with a pretty framey deer, which could be that Ricky deer, but we'll
mm,
see. He's really far, but dude, his beams right now are so long. His brows are like 7 inches, but he's got no other, like his G2s are like tiny and he's got no threes and he's just beams right now. And I'm like,
yeah.
I wonder what he's gonna be. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's like it's a weird time where we're at now. Like you don't know what they're gonna be. I mean, some deer, yeah, they're the growth cycle. Some are behind, some are ahead. Like I'm getting pictures from guys in Iowa that are like full, they look like they're grown out
Yeah.
already in like mid-July. And I'm like, what the hell? Like what
Yeah.
all that supplemental feed, I don't know what it is, but can you supplemental feed in your county in Michigan?
No, we can't supplement it. Only in the UP, I believe, is when
Oh,
you
okay.
were. Well, I don't even know if you can supplemental feed, but I know you can bait in the UP. But like down here in the Lower Peninsula, we cannot.
Not at all.
Nope.
Yeah, same in Illinois. I'm jealous because all the Iowa boys and Indiana guys, and I think in parts of Wisconsin you can do it as well. You see all these great trail cam photos. You're like, man, like I had to just catch mine on a trail or over beans, or
Hmm.
um, I would say actually I have 3 spots that I focus my hunting on. And all 3 of those spots, I don't have like a glassing opportunity. Like I don't have a spot where I can get up and like glass. And I mean, maybe in 1 or 2 spots, but then I have to like get into the property.
Right.
And then for me, that's just something I'm not doing.
Hmm.
Like I would rather catch them by chance on a trail cam, or I implement a lot of like guess and check strategy in my hunting. And I would rather see them during a guess and check during season than fuck them up in
Yeah,
September trying to just get velvet footage. Is that if that makes sense?
for sure. Yeah, and honestly, I build my scrapes in the spring, and I do a lot of mock scrapes, and I put all my cameras on mock scrapes, all of them. Like I don't even hardly put cameras on bean fields. I do have one camera I put on a bean field, just because it is a crazy pinch, and it seems like all the deer come through there, and there's like some crab apple trees right there, and they all, for some odd reason in the summer, they all use this transition, and I get a lot of velvet video. I'll run an SD card camera and video right there, and I get a lot of them there. But
Mhm.
dude, I mean, right now, like as we sit, as we're recording this in mid July, like usually I put cameras out around 4th of July. Well, I told myself the last 2 years that I'm gonna wait till August, because the way batteries are priced now, and it's like I use solar panels and everything, and it's like
Mhm.
screw that. Like I don't need to know what he looks like.
Pick me.
Sure, go.
Thanks. Austin figured out a way to take a Blackgate trail cam and hook. He buys some cable, and I've been talking about this cable. I'll get it on the forum, but he hooks them to lawnmower batteries.
Oh, really?
And his last year lasted all year. So then he brings them in when he's done and puts them on a trickle charger, and he's got them all back out. So we're gonna see how they work after being drained, trickle charged, and put back out. But his last year lasted him all year.
Does he put batteries in the camera also, or no?
I don't think so.
Hmm,
And then
interesting.
he gets instead of alligator clips on the cord for
Yep.
the terminals, he got like eyelets.
Yep. I know what you're
clamp them
talking
on.
about. I
And
need to know what that cord is because there's some spots, like, I've got some historical scrapes that I have cameras on every year that I could hide those things, and it's
yeah,
even a couple food plots I have that'll be beneficial too.
yeah, that's what
So,
his did. And the nice thing about black gates, you can like remotely format, and I'm sure other cell
yep.
cams you can
Yeah.
as well. So if it fills up, save what you need, and then format it. So you don't have to go in there as long as the battery's good. So yeah, we're in the middle of still like testing that whole thing, but
Interesting.
that might be a fix for you. Because think about like a pack of lithiums is crazy.
Wow.
But a lawnmower battery, I think Austin was going to like Farm King, it was like $35.
Wow.
So that's almost the price of lithiums for a cell cam.
Dude, so I buy my lithiums from like Sam's Club because they have like the pack of 18 and they're like $35 a pack right now. I just bought $275 worth of batteries.
And the cashier's like, what the fuck are you doing with $275
Yeah.
for the batteries? Yeah. Yeah.
And so and I need more because I'm running I don't know. I run about half and half. I don't run all cells, but like I'm gonna run probably 18 cameras this year amongst how many farms? Like 4 farms, 5 farms maybe. I can't remember. But
Yeah.
and I just don't want to have to go in a lot of my farms. All my farms but one are the timber on them is no more than 6 acres.
Right. Right.
It's just all
How
small
many
timber.
cams can you cram in there before you're like, I don't need one here?
Well, that's right, and, like but also, like, when I get ready to set them here, like, in the next couple weeks, they'll probably be all set by the time this actually goes live, but I don't wanna have to go back in until I'm hunting.
For
Like,
sure.
I don't I personally don't do a lot of shifting cameras. Like, I build scrapes in the summer or I will do them in the summer, but in the spring, and then over the years, I've just hunt these windows on these scrapes, and that's how I hunt my stuff around here.
I think that's what I was gonna ask. I wanted to get to that is like how much scouting are you actually doing? I know you're doing some, I'm assuming it's like county road scouting at your spot to see those bucks in velvet, but like how much actual on the hoof, on your hoof scouting are you doing? Like, are you in on your property doing any scouting before season opens? Like what's your summer scouting regimen look like if you just want to break it down? Because I
Yeah,
imagine
so
it might be way different from what I do in Illinois.
Yeah, so it varies. Like a lot of the farms that I can glass, and like I said, they're just 6 acres or less, and I've hunted them years after year. Like I don't really need to get in. Like I know what tree I'm hunting. I know where the scrape is. I know where the camera's going to go. I sit back and glass and glass. And honestly, with those type of farms, what I've realized over the last 7 years, what's going to kill you that deer is staying the heck out of there. Like you just stay out. You have to like
Yeah,
and
but social media tells me otherwise, Aaron.
Nah,
I
yeah.
gotta be
Well,
in there grinding.
how old's social media though? Because when I was 23, 24, 25, like and even to 30, like before I had a kid, like I felt like, yeah, you see stuff on social media, like, oh, that guy's out there doing this. I got to get out there and show that. Yeah, you get sucked into that. But now that, I took up basket weaving and I got a lot of other things I can do. I
Mhm.
don't,
I mean,
it's
I got into knitting myself, but
good for
during
you.
the
Good
basket
for you.
weaving. And we'll collab. We'll do a collab.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be good.
Mhm.
But and personally, I just like getting on a high knob and just glassing. I love watching deer. So my scouting for like those smaller micro areas, like my farm country stuff, is like that's what my scouting is. Now I do have a big woods farm that's 220 acres, and you know 200 acres of it roughly is all timber, big timber. And that is so what I'll do there is, right now we do have a hay field that I'll glass every once in a while, but right now I'm going to deploy cameras on scrapes as well, but also I'm going to deploy cameras in areas where, you know, I will shift those cameras. They're
Mhm.
going to be on the fringes right now where a lot of the deer are congregating, where they're eating, but then come that late September, I'm going to make a quick little, and this is a farm I've hunted my whole life. So I know a lot of like the white oaks, the red oaks, where the ridges are, where, you know, everything is, the bedding. It changes from year to year because we just had it logged a couple years ago.
Mhm.
And so a lot of that's changing, but I will transition those ones into, you know, those I'm not gonna lie to you, all my cameras on scrapes. Like I'm finding a
Mhm.
scrape and I'm monitoring scrapes. I love scrape hunting. It is my thing. It hasn't been always my thing. I just find a lot of joy and success in it. You know what I mean?
It's been more my thing the last 3 years than it ever has been,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, probably because of Lee Herr.
Yeah.
You know, he gets some shade on our show because he's passionate, he talks a lot, and so I think people like, you know, I think people think he's, like, trying to, I don't know, overtake the show,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
he's passionate, so
Yeah.
it's like, I like it. It's great for me.
Yeah.
It's great for me because it's like, I don't have to work hard to get him to talk, but anyway, he got me into kind of paying more attention to scrapes, so I think I've been on a similar program. We have a it's now an annual tradition, scrape day, where Lee gets a fresh new pair of New Balances out, and we go out legitimately, and we go out and we do scrapes all day and just get
I
some
love that.
new setup out. So it's like a thing. But yeah.
That yeah, and like that, the scrape thing for me, I don't know if it's because I grew up a bait hunter when we could bait in Michigan. It was like, oh, this is the spot, you know, this is where they're gonna come. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's that, but I also just like, you know, I remember a lot of times, like if I get a rainy day in the first, even end of September, but even the first couple weeks of October, I'm gonna go walk and try to find those scrapes. And I love trying to discern like good scrapes to bad scrapes. All scrapes you can't treat them equally. And
Mhm.
I mean, a high majority a high percentage of scrapes, in my opinion, are just not good scrapes. You have to find the scrape, and I feel like I'm getting really pretty proficient at it.
Mhm.
And I just really like that. And but honestly, it kind of hurts me a little bit because it's like, oh, where am I going to go hunting tonight? Well, it's like, man, I got all these scrapes, but it's like, yeah, but what if they're not coming to these? You know, it's
Mhm.
kind of like, you know, you should probably go hunt somewhere else. So sometimes
Yeah.
I put too much weight into them and don't do enough in the other, like checking out, you know, secondary food or primary food or bedding areas. Like I really have to ground myself and try to like treat everything equally, if that makes sense.
No, no, it does makes perfect sense. I like your strategy though. I think it's a good one. I think it's something that more people now, because of the internet, are probably paying attention more to scrapes and the whole mock. There's kind of a mock scrape craze right now. I don't know, maybe for lack
Yeah,
of a better term, but it's
there
like
is.
you see the mock scrape systems now. There's several companies that put them out, and I don't know, maybe they're all equal, maybe they're not all equal. Everybody's got an opinion on what you need to do, what you should put out. But like we've just been doing hemp rope, 3/4 inch like hemp rope with whatever you want to put on it.
It
You know?
literally whatever. And honestly, a lot of the synthetic, there's so many like synthetic scrape scents out there. I'm really partial to, and they don't pay me to say this. I nothing but a buck fever forehead gland is all I use. I don't ever put anything in the dirt.
Buck
Um,
Fever's the brand.
Buck fever is the brand. Yep, and it's just called forehead gland.
Mhm.
That's something that Troy Pottinger, he didn't turn me on to it, but he kind of like nailed home in the nail in the coffin of like and what he does out in the Northwest. But like I had a teacher back in high school that swore by this stuff, and that's kind of how I started seeing
Mhm.
him do it. And then DJ, he runs that stuff as well. And then I just started doing it over the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And dude, it's vanilla extract. Like they're just coming to it because it smells like vanilla. And then my whole thing is once they put their orbital gland in that, I got you.
Yep.
You
Then
know,
then the scrape's live.
yep. Then it's game on. You know, I don't care if it's a fawn. I don't care if it's a three-legged doe. I don't care if it's a 4 point. Do not care. I want as many deer, their hooves to be in that and get that orbital gland up in there, and then it's game on. They
Mhm.
do the work for me. After that, I just got to start it. You know.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I always looked at it, and I didn't know if like that was it makes sense, right? You just gotta get another deer to put its scent there, and then another one, and then keep them, you know, DJ
Yep.
Khaled, keep them coming, another one,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
it's a scrape. And then, Yeah, that's my thought. I don't think I'm a scrape hunting expert. I've
I'm
killed
not.
several deer because of them. You
Yeah.
know, I killed Floppy last year while he was making a scrape or hitting a scrape. So I've killed deer because of scrapes, yes, but I wouldn't be like, listen to me, I'm telling you how to hunt a scrape, you know.
Right.
We can just talk
I'm
to
the
what
same
we've
way.
done.
I'm the
Yeah.
same way. I've killed more deer. I saw the buck I killed last year, no go, October 1st. Um, the video will be coming out here this fall, but I filmed it all. It's 83 degrees, and he came in, and it was a mock that I made in April. I had a food plot there. In the food plot, I buried a tree. I put my own limb on it, and I made it with a vine. And he came in that night. He got up on his hind legs, worked the scrape, got down, brushed it out, and as he was pissing in it is when I shot him. And
Mhm.
so I have shot a couple deer like actually in a scrape, but I've shot a majority of my deer like going to a scrape. Like
Yeah,
I kill him before he gets to the
you're hunting
scrape.
off of it a little bit.
Yep.
Yep.
Like the deer I killed in Ohio in 21, I shot him the frontal deer that
Yeah.
we talked about. He was coming to a scrape. I shot a double main beam buck in 22. He was coming to a scrape. Like I shot him 11 yards from the scrape. So it's like they have some drawing power. If you have the right one in the right situation, man, they can draw. And you talk about the hemp rope. I started messing around with hemp ropes last year, and I also started messing around with like the height of branches.
Mhm.
And personally, myself, like I like a low branch. I like a branch that a fawn can get its face in.
Yeah.
And when deer come in and they can get their back and everything on it, boy, that's the sauce there.
Lee turned me on to a good tip. So when you're hanging rope in the summer, so we'll tie them or tie and zip tie. And then what I was doing, I was just letting them be free at the cut end and soaking it in whatever we were using. And then, but
Yep.
over time, it all becomes unfrayed, which I think is kind of a good thing. But then what I'll do when I go back the next year, I'll take them and just tie them through themselves. So it's still frayed on the end, but now it can't be loose or just
Sure.
electrical tape. But with the all the leaves and stuff on the tree, the branches hang lower. So Lee will like compensate for the branch being heavier. So when the leaves fall off, the branch will raise a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think low is good. Like I got trail cam pictures of a buck with his head straight back and the ropes like through his over his forehead, touching his back. And he's just like, can't get enough of it, you know?
Yeah.
When I first got those trail cam pictures, immediately I'm like, oh my God, he's got drop tines because the rope is like going through, you know? But yeah, I love them, man. It'll be until Illinois is like it's illegal, you can't do mock scrapes anymore, which wouldn't surprise me.
It's going that way.
Honestly. Yeah. So what do you find like once season comes, if you're okay, you're gonna hunt on scrapes most times, like you said, but are you like trying to find a deer that hits the scrape and then honing in that one scrape, or like what's your favorite tactic besides like the scrape move? Like something you'll go to get on a deer, like does that question make sense? Because you
Yeah.
gotta be
So
to kill big deer mobily, you gotta be a little bit malleable.
yeah, and honestly, man, it just varies. I'm such an opportunist. Like I've shot deer, finding them on does, and spot and stalk them. But if I had to put my, I don't know, man. Over the years, I've really used cameras to hone in on windows on situations where, like, whether it's a scrape or a transition zone, or, I really don't. I really don't like the word staging area. Like, I feel like it's so weird.
It's
Like,
so vague. It's so vague.
it's in like a staging area could be a mile big. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's
Well,
so,
it's a term that gets thrown around by everybody.
yeah. Honestly, I don't like, other than a scrape, I would say, you know, is it's so hard. I it's not probably the right answer that everybody wants to hear, but like I like to get into a situation where maybe I've never been there, and figured out right then. Like, okay, you got this, and this, what it might be like, a transition or a hard edge, or, pines to hardwoods, or like I'm not the guy that's like the X's and O's guy that's like, oh, I'm gonna look for the chestnut oaks on October 13th, and that's where I'm gonna kill him.
I don't
Like,
even think that way.
no, I don't either. And you know, I don't think that way because I feel like I hunt my best when I have to figure it out right then. Like, you know, a baseball reference, you're playing the hot corner, third base, a hot shot gets at you, you got to react, read and react right away. Like
Mhm.
that's when I do my best because when I can start thinking about it, it's usually the wheels fall off, you know? So
Yeah, yeah.
I personally like
Sure.
getting into situations where I have to figure it out, like actually sit there, look around me, break it down. Okay, this drainage is coming down here, it's meeting here. Well, I've got a junction right here. There's maybe a scrape there, or there's a big rub. Okay, how would I do this right now? And honestly, Kurt, the more I've done that, the more successful I've been in all situations because I don't want to be known as like the guy that's like, oh, Aaron's a really good early season hunter. No, I don't want. I want to be like, I want to be able to kill them all year,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in all different types of situations. Like where DJ and I are gonna go, we're gonna go hunt public this year, and we've never set foot on. We're not going until we go hunt. Like we want to go and drop in and figure it out in 7 to 10 days. Like
I love
that's
that, dude.
like
What was the term you said? Play it while it's hot, or what was it?
the hot corner, like read and react. Like I
Read and
like to
react.
read and react. Like that is it's kind of how I do a lot of things, not just hunting and stuff like that. It's read and react, figure it out. You know, you get these guys that's really like, oh, it's, south facing slope and the military crest, and this is how the wind's going to go. And it's like, that's great if your mind thinks that. I don't think that way. I like to read and react and figure it out. And I feel like I'm just as successful as a lot of those X's and O's guys, you know?
Yeah, I think oh dude, I love that. Read and react. Cause I always say guess and check.
Yep.
Read and react, guess and check would because I've never thought of the term read and react to describe my style of hunting, but I would say like, how do you hunt? Read and react, guess and check.
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
guess and check, read and react, whatever comes first. Because, I think a lot of guys get boxed too into this, like, and I'm just kind of like relating to some messages we get during season of like, hey, what would you do here? Well, it's like, well, I don't
Tons of
know.
that. Yeah.
Because you could get in there and it could be, I don't know. Yeah, it looks like the spot you'd want to be, but you get in there and you're like, it doesn't feel that way. But
Yep.
like, I just think, and I've said this a ton on a ton of episodes, I feel like guys are scared to just guess and check and just say, I don't know. We're gonna sit in there and see.
Yeah.
And then that right there alone, if you do that enough, you're gonna get tipped off to something. That's like where this is something else I was gonna get to. Then I want to get to some Patreon questions here before we run out of time. But the trail cam debate right now of like, guy, I feel like there's a lot of guys in the space kind of like, oh, it gives you an unfair advantage, or there's a lot of guys wanting to do it without trail cams and stuff. And I think, and I'm guessing for you, what you would probably say the same thing I would. Yeah, we're going to have less pictures and less intel, but with my style of hunting with read and react and guess and check, you're kind of the trail cam, but you just don't have a lot of the data from the mock scrape cameras into the late summer months into early season. You're there making your moves on the wind for the spot and the circumstance. Like, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I've learned so much. I've learned a lot from cameras, whether it's SD card cameras, cell cams, it doesn't matter. I've learned a ton, but I have yet to kill a deer because of a camera. Yes, I've killed deer that I've had on camera, but I've never killed a deer that's like, oh, I got a picture of him, I'm going to slip in there and kill him right away. But I will say it's taught me windows and when deer like to frequent an area. And it might not be that deer year after year, but it's a caliber of deer I want to hunt. My whole thing is like going back on the read and react thing. I just want to know there's a deer in the area that I would like to pursue because, we went to Kansas last year and I still couldn't tell you, Kurt, that like if you're like, oh, how big's the deer in that area? The biggest deer I saw was probably Pope and Young, and I was going to shoot him, and it was on public. And I don't know if I would go back there because I don't know if there's a deer there that's bigger than that. Like,
yeah.
a lot of this trail, and I don't want to get into the trail cam thing, but like, I personally think trail cams, like the whole Iowa thing. I think if you take trail cams out of public, I'm saying trail cams in general. I don't care about cell cams. You can take cell cams all you want. If you take trail cams out of that, I think over time, Iowa, their being the Mecca, will go away. I think you're going to get a lot of guys like myself, Michigan guys, New York guys, whatever, that takes 5-6 years to draw a tag and has a lot of money invested. They're going to shoot the first 130 that comes by, and they're going to lose their age structure. They're going to lose their, the caliber there. I personally do.
It's a good point, man.
Because I just don't think, like, if I know I'm getting consistently on pictures of a booner or a 150, yeah, I probably, I go to Iowa to try to kill something I can't kill anywhere else. Like, that's the thing.
That's a really good side of that conversation. I don't even want to call it a debate because I don't know if it is yet, but and it might be by the time we get to August. But that's a good point, because all the money and time invested and time away from your family, you see a mature buck that's 130, or not even. He could be an immature deer that's a 3-year-old, and you're like, shit, he's 140. I need it because I have all this time and I'm away from the fan, whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas, like trail cams, probably to a point, and I don't know if I fully believe this, I'm kind of saying this off the top of the head here, are probably better for deer in general, as far as like selective hunting. Bigger bucks typically are more mature animals. It probably ties in somewhere in there. But yeah, I agree with the Iowa statement.
I will say too, before we get into questions here, like, it is something I see a direct reflection on here in Michigan at our deer camp. So we have some older guys in our camp, and I'm not picking on these guys. I just see directly here. Trail cams, since we've implemented them and used them at our deer camp, those guys are passing up deer that they would normally kill, because you start floating a picture out there of a deer and they're like, oh gosh, like, okay, and I think, like, in Michigan as a whole, I feel like the older generation is still to that point of like, okay, like, I just want to get my buck, which is fine. That's fine if you want to do that. But I think trail cams are very beneficial. And I just heard this on a podcast too. It's like, for the last, how long, 15, 20 years, everybody's been preaching QDMA, like trying to kill older age class deer, trying to make the herd a healthier herd. Trail cams help in that. Like, I don't know how they hurt. Like, do you want them shooting 1.5 and 2.5-year-old deer? Like, wouldn't you want everybody to be able to hunt 3, 4, 5, 6+ year-old deer? Like, they help in that. So they got to figure something out.
The big buck craze is where it has its negatives. It's beneficial for deer.
Yeah.
It's an argument in there somewhere. Don't know if I have the energy for it right now, but you and I are on the same page. There's no argument to be had.
Yeah.
It's big bucks are cooler, man. Straight up. And if trail cams help more big bucks happen, then I'm okay with it. Now, will there be? Is there a time where technology becomes an issue in hunting? Yes. Do I feel like we're there yet with trail cams? I don't know. I'd say not yet.
Yeah, I don't think so yet either.
I see the argument in it. I see how someone could say, well, look at this now. We'll just, I can see the argument.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to act ignorant to that side of it. But
big coffee
drink. Yeah. I'm distinguished. I'm a big coffee guy. Yeah. Actually, it's hot coffee and it blows. We're going to get into some Patreon questions here. Shout out to the WCB Patreon community. And I realize my eyes are bad. Okay, let me get this baby up here a little closer. Getting old, Aaron.
Dude, I'm older than you. I had to get glasses this year, and I'm for my nearsight.
But I don't like wear them. But I'm to the point now where I'm like, it's starting to bother me. So I got to go back, and I'm thinking about getting LASIK and getting fixed in like the same week and just get a full blown tune up.
Change the oil, just get a tune up, rotate the tires,
get a tattoo all in the same week. My body's just like trying to shut down. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Matt Hartman, talk about a buck that you killed that you felt you had to work the hardest to kill. What made it difficult? how much time, weather, or terrain struggles? Then tell us about the deer itself. Score, weight, unique features. It's a loaded question, but I think it's a good one.
I just got to think real quick that I've worked the hardest for. And
I have a story that comes to mind that you've told me that sounded like a shit ton of work.
okay.
And it might be post-shot work
Okay.
on your buck a couple of years ago, a few years
Yeah.
ago now.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
the one for you that comes to mind to me, and I don't mean to take your light on this question, but
No, he definitely first came to mind. So you're probably talking about the deer I called the Super 6. I shot him in 2021. So that deer, he oh man, the post shot was I even called you after I shot him the day after the after I shot him, I called you and was like, "Hey, what do you think on the shot placement?" And we were going through it, and yeah, so I shot that deer, spot and stalked him. He was on a doe, and I shot him, and I ended up gut shot shooting him, and I knew I did. Like I screwed up. I did on that. Well, um, I gave him like my details are gonna be a little fuzzy. I gave him like 12 hours before we went in there, and I watched him bed up. I watched I shot him in the morning. Shot him it was like early mid morning kind of thing, if I remember it. Maybe it was noon, dude. It's been a while. Shot him, watched him walk to this timber. I seen him bed down. So then I glassed him all day. I sat there for hours, and then I had to go pick my daughter up, and I had to take eyes off him. Anyway, brought a dog in, tracked him, ended up catching up to him at like 3:00, 4:00 in the morning, and he was still alive. Backed out, came back the next day, and went back to his bed. He was gone. Found out that he doubled back and was coming back. My phone goes off. He is walking by one of my cell cams that we're walking towards. And I'm like, holy shit, he's going back to where I shot him. It was on the edge of a 20-acre cornfield standing. And I had to hurry up, go around. There's a lot of details I'm leaving out, but this took a while. He ended up, I found him 48 hours after I shot him. Back, he doubled back and went all the way back to where I shot him, and he died 80 yards from where I actually initially shot him.
that's
And
crazy.
yeah, and it was in that cornfield. I watched him go in that cornfield, couldn't get another shot at him. And the next day I went in there, and he was 11 rows in there. And my plan was to walk every row of that corn, 20 acres, till I could find him, because I figured he was going to be right in there.
Mhm.
There's a lot. I did a story on him. It's I can't remember what episode it was, but it's a wild story. I think
Yeah.
we ended up going like, I said 6 miles, like walking miles. It wasn't like 6 straight miles, but as we were tracking, I want to say it was more like 4. I think I was being a little dramatic on it, but it was still a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the work you got to put in,
Yeah.
when you wound an animal. Yeah, I like that story. There's a lot of good lessons for people when they listen to that. It's like, because so many people just like, yeah, he's alive, and they throw the search.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, you got to put your effort in when you need to put it in.
Yeah. I hunted that deer 2 years. I thought he was a 4-year-old. He ended up being 3. He's still to this day the biggest body deer I've ever shot. He was 250 pounds on the hoof when we weighed him. And he was 3 years old, and he scored 118 is what he scored.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah.
Yep.
We'll have to get a photo of them.
Yeah.
I lose track of your deer, which is a good problem. Right here, this is Clint on Patreon. WCB listener since 2018 here. The fall is definitely my favorite podcast after the WCB and Time Suck. That's what it says here. Those aren't my
awesome.
words. Okay, that's
Love
just what he said. I think Aaron and David have some really good info. Plus, AB pretty much sold me on the Latitude carbon fiber sticks. No question, just a compliment.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Stephen Phone, Fohne, phone.
I like it.
Not really a question, but let's hear both your favorite hunting stories throughout your hunting career. Ooh, that's a hard one.
That is so hard, dude.
I don't know. I might skip that one because I couldn't pick one. It'd be unfair to all my other memories to pick one.
It would be. Do you have one where you're like, you think about more just on like a daily basis where it just comes in mind like, man, that was a great time. Like, and it doesn't have to be the size of an animal, just like the experience. Maybe do you have one that like maybe pops into your head more than any other?
You know what? I got one that I do think about often, and it's relative to me and you. Is remember it was during Illinois firearm season, but I had a firearm tag and you can hunt with a bow. I
Yep.
bullshitted with you on the way down, and then just on my way down to this property, it's kind of a drive. And then I'm like, all right, brother, I'll call you later, you know? And then I call you like 15 minutes later. I'm like, I just killed a deer.
It was like 17 minutes. I'm like, why are you calling me? I just shot him. And I'm like, no way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a deer that just like surprised me. And I was sitting in there and I saw G2 and I'm like, oh shit. I didn't want to let him out of the window and he just complete jump scared me and I smoked him. And the deer wasn't huge. He's probably Pope and Young ish. He's actually the smallest buck I've ever shot with a bow besides like my first buck. Holy fuck, I just had a giant spider run across the studio wall. So like that's what I think about often,
Yeah,
just
that's a
the
good
way it
one.
went down.
That's a good one. If I had to say anything, and like I said, something I think a lot about is honestly that, and maybe because a lot of people reach out to me and they remind me of him, but it was my biggest deer, the great Hambino in Iowa. That was leading up to that. That was Iowa for me growing up was like a pipe dream, like something I thought I'd never be able to do because it takes a lot of money, time, and you got to have access and stuff like that. And to be able to go there and actually, I was hoping to kill a 140, and like that deer shows up, and I'm glad I have that on film. Like it's all on YouTube. Like, but that it's hard to beat something like that. Hell, I've made a brand around that deer. Like that deer means a lot to me. Like, you remember, Alan from Carved that did
Mhm.
your guys's. So he's doing some rattling antlers for me. And
Yeah, he was
I
just
did,
in here last week.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's such a good dude. And so talented. He him and I talked the other day. He's like, hey man, he's like, you got because he's gonna do topo lines on my antlers, like
Yeah.
he's gonna do it all on topo. He's like, do you have like an area you like to hunt or something like that? That he's like, I'd like to make it personal to you. And I'm like, yeah, I could think of something. Well, I took the topo lines of the area of the stand where I shot the Hambino, and he's gonna like incorporate that all into my rat. And I'm like, so
Badass.
like that's like something I'll like that antler that I have on my logo is like it'll forever, even when the podcast is over and I'm recluse, like it'll always be like my brand.
No, I
Yeah.
love it, dude. That's a great one. This is some sheds by Alan.
Yeah, dude.
That's the first set
That's sick.
and
So
then I
he's doing like on the beam, he's doing the fall podcast, it says, and then I'm incorporating my wife and daughter's initials in it. And on the pedicles, he's putting the Hambino antler. And then I'm a big diehard Michigan Wolverine fan. So
yeah,
he's doing like the block M for Michigan on the bottom. He's gonna color it all. And I'm like, it's gonna be
so
sick.
I got another set back here. He did a hang and bang set for us, but I can't, it's right behind the computer. But yeah, he
Yeah.
was in, and that dude's talented, but that's
So
awesome.
talented.
Really
Yeah.
cool. This is Brandon. Out of the two of you, who has the biggest buck to date, and what date were they shot? What's something you're looking forward to this season? Questions for both of you. Answer individually and thoroughly as you can. Thanks, boys, for doing what you do and giving us great shows to listen to. You got the bigger deer.
Yeah, and I come from Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, but hey, did you kill it in Michigan?
No, I didn't. I didn't. My biggest deer was the Great Hambino. He's 186 and 2/8, gross green on the tailgate. Never got him netted. Never, like I'm never gonna claim and shit. Yeah, honestly, he might even be less than 180 now. I don't know. I don't care. He's 17 scoreable. He had 6.25-inch bases. His beams were 26 in some change and 25 in some change. His brows are ridiculous. He was 7.5 years old. He weighed like 208 or 210 pounds. I weigh a lot of my deer.
Mhm.
Shot him in Iowa, shot him on November 7th at 3:30 in the afternoon. He was with a doe for the day before. When I seen him the day before, he was with a doe pinned down. The morning I shot him, he was with a doe, and I caught him in between does. He took a doe up on a pond dam, and Bretter, she ended up walking by us probably, I don't know, an hour before he came by. And then he came by and shot him at 17 yards, and he ran like 60 yards and died. Watched them all die on camera. So it was pretty sweet.
That's so awesome. That's what dreams are made of.
Yeah.
My biggest deer is I've been saying it's Floppy, the deer I killed last year, but I got another buck I killed in 21 that I don't know. He might look bigger on the wall, but Floppy's got more like inside points and stuff. Floppy's, like I said earlier in the podcast, 168, 169. Lee could tell you what he scores exactly, because he's like the Antler Rain Man, but he's just shy 169. I think 169 is probably the fairest way to call him. Yeah, but he's like, when you were talking earlier, you had that deer that you could have killed last year, the buck you're gonna hunt this year. That was Floppy. He was like really tempting the season before I shot him, and I could have killed him on a scrape off some standing corn. And I even was like, oh, I could go in there. I seen him go in and out of there like on the hoof.
Yep.
I mean, I'd go in there and hang and hunt and probably kill him in that point. And I didn't, because I didn't think he was big. He was like 40s last year, probably. This
Made
year,
a hell of a jump, man.
Hell of a jump. And if he didn't have his floppy ear, I don't know if I would have connected the dots there, because a similar frame, but he really just popped, but yeah, shot him, guess and check, and found where he was frequenting and over a scrape, really.
Yeah.
But I wasn't there because of the scrape. I found the scrape once I went in there to guess and check the spot of where I saw him go in, and there was a scrape there.
Yeah.
So I set up over it.
That's cool. You said guess and check, because my 3 biggest deer were all read and react deer. They were all like, that one I did a full frontal on, that was read the situation, hang the stand. I killed him that night. Like,
yeah, that's so gangster, dude.
Like that is, and I'm not saying it's hard to do in my area because I know my farms, but like when I go out of state, it is read and react, man. Like figure it out.
That's what you got to do. You have to, as a bow hunter who hunts mobily, if you don't have the ambition to do that, I think is the main thing. Because if you don't have that, you're just not going to do it. You have to have the ambition to want to do that. And it's hard to do it if you've never had it work for you. Because it feels like it's not going to work.
It's a good point, dude.
It's hard. It doesn't feel motivating. You go in there like, what am I doing? I don't know what's going to be in here. But when it works a couple times for you, then your mindset changes on it. You're like, yeah, I want to get into a new spot, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Dude, you nailed it right there. And I'm going to go on a tangent real quick, because that Ohio deer, he taught me so much, and I never knew that deer existed, because the reason why he taught me so much is because I read the situation, and he was the one that made it work for me. Like, the deer did exactly what I figured he was going to do. And that gave me the confidence, like, oh shit, I can go. Like, I'm not gonna lie, right before then, like leading up to that, I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, I don't know if this is right. I feel like I'm doing this wrong. And then it happens, and it's like the confidence is there. And like you said, confidence is king, man. Now I feel like I could go in any state and be like, I'll just read this situation, figure it out. And then, it's not going to happen every time, but
yeah,
the confidence is what keeps you going, and if you don't have that, you don't like to get out of bed in the morning, or you don't like to,
you're done before November starts.
Exactly. The confidence is something you just have to do it a whole bunch of times and just gain more. It's just not instilled in you, I don't think. Like, you just got to be out there doing it. And honestly, all the stuff leading up to getting that confidence is going to suck ass. It is going to suck. But once it happens, you're like, oh, but don't get too complacent. Don't get too comfortable, because that can happen too.
It can. It's yeah, you gotta have a taste of the adrenaline of the success to like stay motivated on it. And I used to be, I'd kill my first buck and you'd watch my effort just drop off after that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Now it's worse. Like, I used to take like a week off and be like, yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this high, but I'm so hungry for it now. I'm back the next morning. As long as I don't have to, like, if it's cold enough and I'm gonna handle the deer and take care of it, whatever, like I can come back to it that night. Right. Come right back in there. And one thing I think I got a lot of it from one on my own, for sure, but I saw my dad do it before mobile hunting was like a thing with a river's edge climber from Walmart. Go in, and that's how we killed the Geyer buck. Went in down this old log road that was all overgrown with cedars and shit. And
That's awesome.
When you see that happen, and everyone in camp at the time, this is early 2000s, like, you're crazy. You went in the dark and that climber, you're crazy. So I'm like, that's fucking cool.
That's awesome.
Okay. So this is someone wanted to bring up Jay Bailey, bring up the proposed law changes in Michigan that are being voted on this Thursday. So
they're getting voted on right now as we're talking right now.
Okay, you want to bring it up what it is? Because
let me pull up the.
I'm going to read his full question.
Yeah, real quick. I've got like the proposed changes on my phone right here if you want.
Okay, yeah, all right. Bring up the proposed law changes in Michigan that are being voted on this Thursday. Some of the proposed changes are reinstating baiting / supplemental feeding in areas with low to no cases of CWD, allowing drones for game recovery, and more opportunities for hunter access program throughout the state.
Yeah. So I'll just read off like the bullet points, what they're going to, and then I'll kind of give like a brief something on it or wherever. So the first one is continue mandatory reporting. So like up until what was it? I think we just got done with our second year of reporting our deer harvest. We've never had to do that before. That needs to be mandatory. It has to be, in my opinion. And I think they need to put a little bit more precedent on it. I'll just leave it there. Pursue earn a buck legislatively. So like they are pursuing like the idea of an earn a buck. I don't want to get into that. I just I don't know.
It's layered.
Yeah, it's layered. Make our combo license, which our combo license right now is you get a buck tag, like basically, and then you get a restricted tag, which is you have to kill a buck. I think that's got 4 on one side, or you can use it as a doe tag. So you get an either sex tag and a buck tag. So the combo would be make the combo license 1 antlered and 1 antlerless. So we'd be going to a 1 buck state, and then get 1 antlerless. I personally am pro 1 buck state, and I don't want to get into that. But
it's layered.
It's layered. The next one is promote the hunter access program. It's the HAP program. I've 100% am on board with that. We don't have a ton of HAP land, but I think they should, access is obviously something that's dying for a lot of hunters. Like, I think it's a good idea.
Is that like something where a private land owner could be like, I'm going to enter in this program, and then there's like something that pops up online where a hunter can be like, oh, I can hunt that ground?
I believe so. And I wish I knew more about it, but I take it as like it's kind of like the walk-in hunting, like the Weehaw land out in Kansas kind of thing.
Yep.
So I would like to see more that expanded.
Didn't Wisconsin do that? I thought I heard like Wisconsin had like a program similar. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I thought they did.
I don't know about that. The next one is more localized deer management units, no baiting in diseased areas only. Expand the late season urban archery. So like Kent County, which is like Grand Rapids, one of the bigger cities in Michigan, they have like a late season after every like hunting season's basically over. They can shoot does to control the population. APRs across the peninsula or the lower peninsula, 3 or 4 points on a side. I'm personally not pro APR because our deer camp and the surrounding camps around us, we've done APR since 1997, and we still shoot 2.5-year-old 8-pointers that are, because our APR since 1997 has been 4 on a side. And we've stuck to that. We don't kill anything, but we're still killing. We killed 5 bucks as a camp last year, and all but one of them were 2.5-year-old 8-pointers. So it's like, you're killing those 105-inch book bucks, the ones that when they get to 3, they could be 140 or 4, so APR, I'm not on board with.
I can see that. Yeah.
But I mean, I could see APR passing, and like, cause a lot of people are like on board with APR. I think I'm kind of a minority with it, but anyway, drone harvest recovery, I'm for it, but I think there needs to be some sort of
permitting.
What's that?
Permitting.
There needs to be permitting. There needs to be something that regulates it. because it can be used very badly, very, very badly.
We've had this debate a lot, and I always said, like, I'm for that because there's an ethical, do the right thing line there somewhere. I don't know where it lies from start to end. It's not really my call.
Yeah.
But like if Illinois could do, hey, you have to buy this permit and you are registered with Illinois and they know you're out flying. I hate to see just anybody have it and abuse it, and then deer are dying unethically because of it.
Right. Yeah.
That's my worry. I don't want deer to die unfairly or unethically because of drone usage.
I agree. That one, early and late antlerless seasons on private and public land, and then restore traditional muzzleloader season, which I am all for, because they have taken away our muzzleloader season and made it an any firearm season. So that extended our gun season from like 15 days to like 28 days.
Jeez.
So like I'm for bringing back like our zoned out muzzleloader seasons. I used to really like the muzzleloader hunt. You know, I have a muzzleloader. Like, I think they're kind of neat. But also it might help, you know, get some of those deer through too, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing, and it's not proposed on here that I don't think is, but on the list that I see is opening coyote season back up year round. So they closed it this year. You can coyote hunt for, I think, 10 months of the year, but they closed it for April through July, basically, or something like that, fawning season. So
what? Why? What's the point?
My thing is, I think they closed where you can't shoot coyotes during April, May, and June or whatever it is, during fawning season to control the deer population.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for them, not for us. But I was gonna say, I don't know when coyotes have their pups.
Did they have them? They have them like during, basically, I think it's when fawns are dropping. I thought maybe not. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. I could be way wrong.
Most offspring's born in the spring.
Yeah.
So I would assume, because their breeding season's what, January, February. I don't know much about coyotes, but I thought maybe you get some gay liberal up in Michigan voting to not have coyote puppies.
Oh, dude. At the end of the day, Michigan is ran by the city of Lansing, is where our capital is, and it's very liberal. It is very, and it's a money thing. And
yeah,
a lot of people are pointing fingers at the DNR, which myself included, I did for a while, but it's not the DNR. It is what's happening down at the Capitol building, and you know, and it's,
dude, we got Chicago, man. I feel you, brother.
Yeah.
Illinois sucks. The only reason why I'm here is because the deer hunting. And you know, I'm sure you get shit everywhere you go for being in Michigan, whatever. And like, we throw shade at Michigan, but it's all love because we're in Illinois. We're the same shit. We just got a little, you know, on average, bigger deer, and that's it. You know? Yeah, I love when people give Illinois shit. They're like, man, sorry. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I know. You know,
I know.
Like, it's whatever. One last question. It's probably something we don't even want to get into, but I'm going to read it just because I think it's more they're trying to stir shit between us for comedic relief. Ben Bailey, love both your podcasts. You guys have to debate about the Garmin site. Last I knew, WCB was pretty much against them, where AB is a believer. Let's hear it.
Yeah. You know, and I've heard you guys like talking about, you guys don't, it doesn't bother me at all. Anybody can say shit about anything that I do. I don't care. My personal stance on it is, yes, it eliminates a step in the process. To me, I turn it as like, I want to be able to go to full draw and have every confidence instead of popping a range, moving my sight, or gap shooting. I think it eliminates and gives me more confidence personally. Since I started shooting a Garmin in 2019, when I go to full draw on a deer, I'm still not calm, but I'm the most calm and confident I've ever been before leading up to that, because of, you can pull back your bow, you can hit a button and it gives you a range. Like, to me, it's not shooting the bow for you. Maybe I'm trying to like will it into like, Kurt, you got to believe in it. I don't care if you believe in it or not, but I can tell you right here, yeah, it is easier than you shooting a dialed sight. Like when you're like, oh, not you, but personally, like guys, like I used to shoot 1-pin sliders. I shot a Spot Hog Fast Eddie XL for a lot of years. But dude, it's like, oh god, here he comes, range. Oh, move. Oh, he's moved. Oh shit, I gotta do. Why would you want to do that? Like, I
Yeah.
don't understand
Yeah.
why. And like, and then you hit him high or you puss him up because you're rushing shit. You want to slow that moment down as much as you can, and I feel like we owe that to the deer or whatever we're going after
Mm-hmm.
to do it. They're going to be outlawed. Everything will be outlawed. So I'm going to ride the train until it's outlawed. So
Well, here's the thing. I don't. So a lot has changed with me, right? And the library of WCB. That might have been something, and a lot of it I do. Like I might take a belief I have and exaggerate it for entertainment purposes. Like I say gay and faggot a lot, and it's like I don't even hate gays or anything at all. Like I have gay friends and they're great, and gay dudes are actually like pretty hilarious. But I'd say it because it's funny.
right.
And so I may have given you shit about that site, or I may have went on a tangent about that site in the past for funny or for entertainment. Now, do I think it pushes the line a little? Maybe. But I get it though, too. I get there's a point of like sometimes in a chaotic situation, a single pin sight can really suck ass.
Mm-hmm.
It can, but other times it's amazing. So I get both. Would I like to try one? Maybe, but it doesn't. I'm not dying to. But am I going to expel energy on hating on it? No, not anymore. Not for real, at least.
Right. And I don't take offense to if you say something about, I don't take offense to it all. You know, like I
Jared
don't
Mills is
care.
in here talking about it, and he's like, I'm like, damn, bro.
Who's that?
Jared Mills.
He was saying that he likes it or doesn't like it.
He does like it. And he was in here
Oh,
talking about it. I'm like, dude, you're selling me. He's like a big Garmin guy. You know, he's got all the nice Garmin watch. I want a Garmin watch bad.
right there.
I want one so bad. And I haven't jumped, but every time I see one, I'm like, whoa, show me that
Dude,
watch.
they are so nice. Like I have the Phoenix 7X Pro or something right now. It's awesome. Like it's a watch. It is a watch, but it is like literally like been doing quite a bit of working out and stuff like that. Like I can go in there and it's saved. Like you can go in there and be like, oh, I want to do a cardio thing today. And you can pick like something and you hit it and it'll tell you what to do, what reps to do, and keep track of all. It's like, it's
You know,
wild.
part of the main reasons I want it, I'm on my phone so much. I know you probably are too with your job. I would like to just have the habit of going like this to see what time it is, then to pull my phone out of my pocket. Oh, I got a text.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it just leads down a rabbit hole of I'm on my phone way more where
Yeah.
I could be driving or, I got my truck, but I could be in a tree stand, look at my watch and then back to sitting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say too, like with the Garmin sights, like I'm a self filmer. Jared Mills is a self filmer. Like if you're filming, it is leaps and bounds. Like because you're adding a self filming, you're adding another element there too. Like it helps in that as well. It's yeah, it is. It makes a lot of things easy. Sighting it in, there's even a function on it to where like if you go to full draw and if you have it lit up on your screen, basically, if let's say there's a limb in the way, it'll tell you if you're going to clear that limb or not. So like it'll give you like a color, or I don't have it turned on, but it'll give you a certain color, like, oh, you're going to clip that limb at that distance.
So there's a comment on here. I wasn't going to read it, but I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Taylor Shea, after TAC, I watched a guy get fucked with one. Once the fog rolled in, he was done. Made me a hater for life. Dude got hosed for the whole day because of tech.
Because of TAC?
Tech.
Oh, tech. So I feel like I heard a podcast with someone that had issues with the fog. I don't know where it was. Who did I hear? Anyway, I've never
one guy just screaming loud about it.
So in my personal experience, I've got video footage to back this up. I've never had fog issues. Casey and I hunted in that year I went to Iowa. We hunted in a torrential downpour, ruining cameras, and because I wanted to go hunt. And It never fogged. It was out in the elements. It has never failed me, not one time. I change the batteries every year. I try to anyway. But I've never had an issue. Like, guys are like, oh, what if you range and it's in some thick stuff? Well, if you double punch your trigger, it gives you your fix pins, and then you just gotta, I still have a rangefinder with me. So when I get to the tree, I will pop ranges around me to get my perimeter. But like if I go to full draw and it's like not picking up a range, you double punch it, and then it gives you whatever you sighted in, 20 through 70. Boom, fix pin right there. Shoot them.
No shit, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Like they have a lot of fail-safe stuff on there. Like
You have to, I guess.
you have to. Like, and I'm not saying tech can't fail. It will fail eventually, probably. But like I've shot one since 2019. I've yet to have an issue with anything.
Okay. Well, hey, good plug for Garmin, I say. But yeah, whatever. It's all whatever. Well, dude, this was fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Good catching up. Let's do another one, but on your side.
For sure. Let's do it, man. I appreciate you getting me on here and doing this. I know we talk quite a bit, actually. I mean, we haven't in a minute just because we got family stuff going on, but yeah, it's appreciate you having me on.
We're the podcast bros.
For sure. We're probably the only ones out there that probably even like each other's company. Everybody else probably just doesn't like us.
It's yeah, that might be accurate, like to a point. Not like, I'm obviously friends with other podcasters and shit, but it's like I get people call me like, oh man, a lot of guys hate on you. I'm like, well, they do. It's like, oh yeah, from what I hear. And I'm like, oh shit. Well, that's good then. And here's the thing. On WCB, I think a lot of people get upset with us, and full blown it's because we're having more fun.
Oh yeah. And honestly, Kurt, and everybody says it, but if somebody's hating on you, you're doing something right.
That's very true. I have learned that to be true in my years. And
like I'm gonna go as far as like I got a comment the other day. I don't read all the comments, but when you get like a written review like on Apple, like it sends an email to me and I opened it, and I don't know why I opened it, but the guy's like, generally you have great content, but I'm gonna give you a 3-star because when I'm listening to in my car with my 11-year-old, I can't listen because you guys swear too much. And I'm like,
that guy probably left the same review. That's your fault, sir. Don't tune in with your kid in the car. Like, I mark every episode explicit, dude. People bitch about our cussing so much. It's there's other shows that don't fucking cuss. Fucking listen to them. Here's the thing. I've said this a lot on the podcast lately. We've always cussed. We've always done this since day one.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have changed the format of WCB to be clean halfway through, then we'd be sellouts, and everyone would it's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
We're probably worse than we used to be, leaning into it more.
Yeah.
It's more fun.
I don't know. You see what you get, like what you hear about me and DJ on the podcast. It's what you get. If you talk to us, if I get a couple beers in them, I might say couple more F-bombs in a when you're not hitting record, but like, that's what you get. Like what you hear is what you get.
I like to think I'm relatively the same dude on and off this podcast. Like, we can go right out here to the bar and I'll talk to you the same fucking way as I'll talk in here. Now, there's a job to do, right? When you're talking to Mark Drury, I'm not going to sit here and like F-bomb the shit out of them, or when our boys from Illuma Trailers are in, they don't cuss.
Yep.
So it's kind I read my audience a little bit. When I'm around Greg Ritz, I'm not bombing F-bombs in front of him and making him be like, Jesus, dude, but when we're with the boys, which is 80% of the time just on the podcast, we're doing what we do. We're having fun.
Read and react, man. Read and react.
Read and react, baby. It's all. But no, man, I want to give you some flowers on record here. I love the Fall Podcast. You guys are doing a great job. I love you guys as people over there. You associate yourself with great people, and I think you're killing it, man. You're my number one recommendation. Anytime someone's like, what are some other good shows in the scene? You're number one. So
I appreciate that, man. That's high praise coming from an OG like yourself. I mean, you're a little younger than me, but you're an old head because you've been doing it longer than me. So
yeah, it's
I
weird,
appreciate
right?
that.
It's weird, but no, you're killing it, man. And I'm proud of you. And it's great to see. So looking forward to continuing the friendship, dude, and doing more projects and whatever together. The future's bright. Put your shades on.
Yeah. I like it, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, watching, and listening. You know what to do. Go shoot your bow. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.